Louis Peters is the founding member of AARP Insurance Brokerage. They have an office at 7716 Fifth Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Last month, Louis, I don't know whether you saw this.
No.
That's yours? Okay. Home reporter, Brooklyn Spectator, has a columnist by the name of Larry Morris. And every week, Larry Morris puts a unsung hero in his column describing a person and his wife Alice. And Louis Peters was highlighted in this column as an unsung hero of Bay Ridge, as a neighbor who makes a difference. But for me and Patricia, we volunteered with Louis side by side, raising funds and delivering meals during the holidays for the Bayfoot Benevolent Associates. You remember that. And years ago, Louis was a coach with the 68th Precinct Youth Council, baseball coach. So, we know Louis for a very, very long time. I am happy and proud that he is a guest speaker today, and his title and his speech will be, it's a good one, speaking on the A, B, C, and D's of Medicare. Baby Rich AARP 3630, I give you Louis Peters.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, all of you, for having us here today. It's a real pleasure. I have been a resident in this great little town for over 56 years. St. Anselm's, Fort Hamilton High School, Century 21, when it was a little tiny store half the size of this room. We were selling notions and thread and needles and Scotch tape back then, and had a Oxford retail training from one of the founders. So I really owe a lot to the community, and I'm extremely, extremely grateful to be in front of you today. Many things happen during the day in our office. Many people come in and they ask questions about Medicare. And ironically, just when you think you knew everything, you don't. Because the law, the government's going to throw another little curveball at you. I have also sent out a book around called Clarity Starts Here. If you have that book, we'll be able to go through the maze somewhat. If there are going to be questions, we're still going to be here after the meeting. If you'd like to answer any questions, we'd be more than happy to help you. Or you can just stop in our office if you'd like to on 77th and 5th. The first thing, if you look to page number 5, is you're going to see a copy of that card. Hopefully all of you have. It's the Medicare card. The little red, white, and blue card. A lot of people don't realize that they may only have Part A on there. You want to have Part A and Part B. If you're coming off an employee plan, an employer plan, it's the time before you go on to any other kind of plan to make sure that you get your Part B. All right? And the Part B basically is formulated from an income. The government will charge you, for anyone whose income is less than $85,000, they'll charge you $104.90. If you're making more than $85,000, they'll scale it up proportionally. So, you have Medicare now, and A is for hospitalization, B is for doctors and some medicines. But the problem that emerges is that Medicare will cover only 80% of your benefits. And that's the big concern. Had a gentleman, true story, we have a lot of true stories, that only had Medicare A and B, spent 2 nights in the hospital, the surgery was $220,000. His responsibility was $44,000. All right? Now, there are things out there that can help solidify that exposure of that 20%. Primarily, there's 2 ways of going about it. You can keep your individual Medicare card, that little red, white, and blue card, and you can purchase something called a Medicare supplement plan. sometimes called a Medigap plan. What that does, and why the people sometimes really like that, is because they use it in conjunction with their little red, white, and blue card, and they can go to any doctor or any hospital in this country that accepts Medicare. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing. There is another avenue called a Medicare Advantage plan, Medicare Complete plan, where you must stay in the network of doctors and hospitals. So it really, really depends on the needs and the wants of the person, the older fellow, that they look and see if they are going to get enrolled in any of these other plans, that they check the network of doctors and hospitals to make sure their doctors are in the network. Many of times we hear doctors are dropping out of networks, or they're being told to drop out of networks. So every year is always another challenge. Just when you think you have it, something else is going to happen the next year. I've been doing this since 1985, and I'll tell you, nothing has ever been the same every year. And I don't expect it to really, really be changing in the formidable future. So we know that we have, you can see there, you have your card. You can have option 1, Medicare Supplement, or option 2, Medicare Advantage. Now let's get into prescription drugs. Prescription drugs. This is a hot subject. Every year, the government places a number on what they call the initial coverage gap. This year, it's $2,960. What that means to you is every time you go to the pharmacy and you spend $5 or $3 or $45, you are not the only one that's paying for that medication. The insurance company is as well. So imagine you go in and you spend $5, but the insurance company spends $100. A thermometer of $2,960 on top. January 1, it's at 0. But every time you go to the pharmacist, between what you pay and the insurance company pays, it starts to rise gradually. All right? So when you hit that $2,960, you go into something called the coverage gap, which this year's number is $4,700. So for argument's sake, let's say Peter, in his $2,960 going up that road, he took $700 out of his pocket, out of that $2,960. They're going to take $700 off the coverage gap number, which this year is $4,700. So his coverage gap is $4,000 now. He will not enjoy the low copays that he started out with. He will then be responsible for 65% of his generic drugs, as well as 35% of his brand drugs. So for that $4,000 ride, he's going to pay more than when he started. When it ends, the coverage gap ends, you go into something called catastrophic. Catastrophic is even less than when you started out with. So it's important to know that, yes, that coverage gap is serious, but God forbid you're in a situation, you know that the catastrophic will save the day. What I try to tell people all the time is just because you have a card that says you have a prescription card doesn't mean you have to use the card. Because how can you manage this $2,960? Very simply, by knowing all these big box stores, the Duane Reade's, the Walgreens, they always have specials on their prescription drugs. Imagine now you go with the prescription and you don't give them the card. Give them the $5 or whatever it is. Sometimes the prescription drugs are cheaper than what your copays are on your card. So every time you pay the $5, you got the insurance company adding to it. So why would you want that? Just pay, get the prescription, pay the pharmacist. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't be very consumer savvy when you see the prices of the prescription drugs. But I know Stop and Shop has 90-day supplies of generic drugs for $9.99. I know some of the co-pays on our cards may be $5 or $10 for that same very drug. So why would you want to hit the $29.60 when you don't have to? As fast as you don't have to. Now, brand drugs are a different subject. You're probably going to be better off using your prescription drug plan because that's probably the best way to go. But I can tell you, if you shop your generic drugs, just like milk and bread is on sale, these big box pharmacies, forget about a Walmart, a Costco, a Target. It's ridiculously how inexpensive their prescription drugs are. So you may want to just say, hey, I'm going to start shopping this stuff, especially the stuff I'm taking every single month, my maintenance medicine, and I want to make sure, because you get that statement every month from the insurance company, and it tells you, yes, you paid this, and the insurance company paid that. So you can see the effect of that $29.60. So stop it. Stop it. You can. There's nothing illegal about not using your card. All right? Yes, ma'am.
I've been getting these mail-in offers from New York Prescription. Here's a card for you. What is that all about?
Well, there are several plans out there, and unfortunately there's a lot of plans that you'll pick up. You'll see them sometimes in doctor's offices, and you'll see them in pharmacists, and there's always a discount drug card or something. Now, the two places that we know of, and I was just going to get into it, is we just talked about that donut hole, right? We talked about how your medicines will be higher. There's something called EPIC in the state of New York, Elderly Pharmaceutical Insurance Company. And what's wonderful about that is What's wonderful about that is when you hit that donut hole or coverage gap, they come in and save the day. You'll spend anywhere from $2 to $20 for a prescription. It doesn't cost you anything. All right? If your income is under $20,000, $26,000, yes, there is a charge for it. But it's when you evaluate the charge versus only paying $2 to $20 on your medications, it's well worth it. On the other side, you're making more than $26,000, you have a deductible. So it's about the same time you hit the donut hole, the deductible kicks in, and then you'll have either between $2 and $20 to spend on your medications. EPIC is a wonderful program. We do have brochures here. It's a state-run program. We have nothing to do, but I got to tell you, all our clients are in it because it just makes sense. Just makes sense.
But you've never heard of this New York State prescription thing?
Yeah, we have, as a matter of fact, we have New York Prescription Saver Card. Is that maybe it? But this is for folks from 50 to age 64. EPIC is for folks 65 and older. All right? So those are the two programs I'm aware of.
So you don't know about this other New York State?
No. They think there's all kinds of funny marketing names, and you just be careful.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Part D is the prescription drug plan that Medicare offers for people that are 65 and older. Now, one thing that happens is there's a law. When you turn 65, you have 63 days to purchase a Part D prescription drug plan. Now, many insurance companies offer this Part D because Medicare says they're allowed to do so. So there's 20 of them out there. The key to picking a good Part D plan is to know the medications that you're taking. Because every insurance company publishes once a year a formulary. A formulary is their A to Z of all medications. Not only do they publish that, they then go ahead and they put those medicines in what they call tiers. Tier 1, generally a generic. Tier 2, generic. Tier 3, brand. Tier 4, specialty. They go up, and they go up, and they go up. Some prescription drug plans have a deductible attached to them as well. A $320 deductible is allowed by law on some of these plans. So before you even enjoy a copay, you got to go through $320 worth of medicine. You got to be really, really careful because there are so many good plans out there. You know, do your due diligence, and there's so much information. It's really outstanding in the way that they do make it available. So now, say you don't enroll after 63 days. The average premium across the country for a Part D plan is about $35 a month. If you do not go and join a program after 63 days, for every month you wait, you're going to incur a 1% penalty of the average cost. So $35 a month, 1% is 35 cents. Every month, the next month is 70 cents. The next month's 105. It goes. I just worked with a gentleman, 8 years he didn't enroll. I don't have to tell you how much his Part D premium is. He had no idea, he didn't know anything about the law, and he went ahead and he just says, I don't need prescriptions. Why do I have to go and pay into something? The penalty at that point is unbelievable, and it never goes away. It stays with you. It stays. So if, say, hypothetically, it's a $50 a month premium, and you wait 2 years, that would be 50 cents times that's $6 on top of the premium that you're already paying. And that's going to be on top of any premium you're already paying for the end. It does never come off. All right, so it's very important to realize. One of the suggestions that we hear also is your Medicare card. Many of your Medicare cards have your Social Security number. They're the same. Maybe a good thing is to just photostat that card and cross out those first 5 numbers and put that in your wallet instead of carrying that valuable Medicare card around. Because I don't have to tell you, you hear it every day, identity theft. You know, you keep that Medicare card in there, they got you. They got your Social Security number. So please, please be diligent and think of doing that. There's no one's going to say and spank you because you made a photostat. You know, we hear all these stories, you can't use Social Security for your ID, you can't do this, you can't do that. But come on, really, what do you need it for? So just photostat it. Again, it's your deal if you want to do it or not, but I suggest it because everyone is walking around today and they're a target. So you may want to consider that. Special election periods. And if I'm... Peter, you got to cut me up if I'm going too far.
No, it's all yours.
Okay. Special election periods. What does that mean? That means generally to all of us that October 15th through December 7th, you can change your plan. You can go ahead and say, I don't like this Medicare supplement plan. I don't like this Part D plan. I don't like this Medicare Advantage, Complete, whatever you want to call it, plan. And you can do that 100 times during that period. But it's the last time that you do it, that's the one that's going to stick. So it's important. You may find that your previous plan, the doctor that was in the network last year, is not in the network this year. You may find that the prescription drugs now went from a tier 1, $5, to a tier 4 at $95. And you get all this mail, by the way, but everyone seems to overlook it. People come in and they say, no one told me, no one told me. But it's the law, you have to be told. You know, when the doctors drop from your network, you have to be told. If your co-pays go up, down, or all around, you have to be told. The most important thing that I have found when it comes to these Medicare Advantage and Complete plans is you will find all kinds of copays. This one for the primary, this one for the specialist, this one for the hospital, this one for the podiatrist, this one for the whoever it may be. But there's one number there that they can't mess around with. They can confuse the hell out of you with all that stuff, but the out-of-pocket maximum is the number they can't confuse you with. And what does that mean to you? If an out-of-pocket maximum is high, that means you're out of pocket. We're not talking prescription drugs now, only medical. As you pay, as you pay, as you pay, if it's a high number, you will continue to pay until that high number is met. When it is met, then there's no more copays. So that's a great thing for you to know. If your out of pocket is $6,700, which generally a lot of the companies are now, or if it's $5,200 or $3,900, it's important for you to realize, when am I off the hook? When will my copay stop? So out-of-pocket maximum, I don't care what they do to the numbers, I don't care about the premiums, that number is in stone, and it's so important for you to understand it. Because if it's high, and your other copays are high, you're going to have a long year of out-of-pocket, okay? With the Affordable Care Act came also the annual wellness visit, which is a good thing. Every plan allows you to go now and have your annual wellness visit with no copay. The one thing that you must do or should do is call up your primary and schedule your annual wellness visit. Because if you don't schedule it and you go in there like a regular visit, you're going to pay the $15 or the $10 or the $20 for the primary care physician.
Don't they mostly do that in the home?
In the home? No. There's things, there's wonderful things out there. Insurance companies call it all different names. And they can actually come to the home and they can take your blood pressure. And they can look at your prescription drugs, see if they're interacting in the right way to make sure they're not combating each other. And they'll also take your medical history. And they'll do all of that for free once a year. When's the last time you were in a doctor's office and you had the undivided attention of someone for 45 minutes? So a doctor won't show up, but you'll have an RN or LPN or a practitioner. They come, and we hear stories all the time. I hadn't seen the doctor, but I did. They kept on calling me, breaking my, they wanted to make an appointment. I don't like people. I don't want them in my house, but I let this guy in. And yeah, the guy his appendix was about to bust, Or the gentleman was going to have a heart attack the next day because they just think they're in good shape and everything's wonderful. And now you have this good service that's out there, and many companies call it all different things, but it all boils down to the same thing. I would definitely use it because they will send that to your primary. They can see exactly what's going on, and that will solve, I think, a little bit of problems where people think they're healthy and they may not be as healthy as they think.
Will the primary do that?
That's an annual wellness visit, and you can schedule that. But they have something like United Healthcare calls it house calls, and another company calls it another thing, and so forth. And that's a good service, and they'll call you once a year to schedule your house visit. And if you like that, you can do that. All right? Yes, sir. No, he would do it if you went to his office. It's called an annual wellness visit, and you would schedule that. Yeah, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Once a year, you're entitled, and there's no copay. This is an addition, like you say, during the year, and you've had your annual wellness maybe 9 months later during the year, so you know you can schedule this health visit that come right to your house, give you undivided attention, and treat you with the respect that you deserve. Do I still have time, Peter? 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Okay. 5 minutes. Special election periods are important. We talked about the normal one, the annual election. But in case you were with a company and a company said, we don't want to do this anymore, that would constitute an annual election period. If you were all of a sudden eligible for Medicaid, that would constitute a special election period. And there's many products out there that will take full Medicare A and B with Medicaid, and they have these wonderful products out there with all the bells and whistles. If you are moving from another state, that constitutes a special election period. So you can go ahead and do that. There's star ratings that are published every year by Medicare. You always see them next to the companies. The best rating you can get is a 5-star. There's no 5-star in New York, I can tell you that. But if there were, or if you were in another state, you would be able to drop from your plan and you can go and join that 5-star plan at any time during the year. So that's also maybe something that you may want to, you know, I don't foresee the day of a 5-star in New York, but I've been wrong before. I just want to end on a couple of notes. Yes.
You know, it seems to me when I check that they're going blindly by just how much it costs. In other words, they're not really comparing the advantages of one plan or one company over another at all. They're doing the very simplistic thing of just rating how much it costs. But I always check value for money. What the federal star thing is just dumb. I mean,
There's actually 50 ingredients that go into a star rating. And
I find that, you know, my plan, which I think, all my comparisons is the best that I know of, doesn't rate that high. I disagree with that.
well, it also turns out that if you're with a nationwide company, per se, and you have millions of subscribers versus Company B that may be having a couple of 100,000 subscribers, they can really clean up their act in such a tightly knit box. And that's sometimes what the star ratings do. I mean, there's certain times they just close enrollments at certain times, some of these companies, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just happy that you invited us, and this is Hernan and Abir. They work in our office together, and if you're ever strolling down 5th Avenue and 77th Street, we have coffee, we have candy. Come in, anything that you may want to ask us, we'd be more than happy to ask you. If anyone does want a Epic brochure, we have them here. And if anybody would like one of these little wallets, you please pick one up. You can put your card or maybe your photostated card in there. And if anyone has any other questions, they can fill out something here. All right? Thank you so much for having us.